Before our generation, the idea of a typical family was a mom, a dad, a couple of kids, a dog, and a white picket fence. Today, this family may look like 2 dads, 2 moms, or even a single parent. With the advancements in technology, surrogacy allows couples of all types to create their idea of a family. Surrogacy is the carrying of a pregnancy by an individual for another person or couple. The recipients of the child or children are known as the intended parents. The intended father may or may not be the sperm donor and does not necessarily have a genetic link to the baby. In addition, the intended mother may not be the egg donor in cases where neither parents donate their gametes. A third-party embryo could be used. The surrogate, also known as the gestational carrier, has no genetic link to the embryo. Biologically, there's a sperm and egg donation that creates a fertilized egg, and then that embryo is implanted in the gestational carrier through in vitro fertilization. If all goes smoothly, and after 9 months the baby is born, it is then given to the intended parents.
It seems like a pretty simple operation, but there are so many factors that go into the process. First, on the carrier side of things, surrogacy agencies have a laundry list of requirements and qualifications the surrogate must pass. They must undergo a multitude of screenings, interviews, medical tests, psychological evaluations, and fertility tests to predict their response to the in vitro fertilization. Along with all of that, there is a matching process between the surrogate and the intended parents. The agency then helps to find an appropriate match, which takes an average time frame of about 2 to 6 months, and is based on the in vitro fertilization clinic's legal matching requirements. Differing state laws on the subject matter make the process even more complicated. It poses questions of the surrogate's rights and what rules she must follow. What happens if the gestational carrier leaves state lines? Is she still obligated to abide by the laws of the state where the pregnancy began? There's also concern of exchanging money for a baby. A lot of people find it problematic and question whether or not commercial surrogacy could result in the exploitation of living organs for profit. What if during childbirth, the gestational carrier finds herself emotionally attached to the baby and wants to keep it? Does the gestational carrier have the right to keep the child? And how much say do the intended parents have in the gestational carrier's health decisions while she is carrying the baby? On the intended parent's side, once the baby is born, there are innumerable legal questions and things that need to be defined, such as who are the baby's parents? Whose names appear on the birth certificate? What if some unforeseen circumstance leads the intended parents to abandon the pregnancy? Who is responsible for the child then? It's important to define these things before the birth of the child because it provides insurance for both the baby and the surrogate.
In the realm of surrogacy, there are 4 different types: traditional, gestational, commercial, and non-commercial. Traditional surrogacy is when the intended father provides the sperm and the surrogate provides the ovum. If the intended mother and father provided the necessary gametes to be transferred to the surrogate, this is considered gestational surrogacy. Commercial surrogacy is when a couple pursues a surrogate through an agency, paying the agency for services and providing financial assistance to the surrogate mother. If the couple pursues a surrogate through a private agreement in which no fees are exchanged between the couple and the surrogate mother, this is considered non-commercial surrogacy.
In a case of commercial surrogacy, the gestational carrier was pregnant with twins, one of which had Down syndrome. The intended parents did not want the baby with Down syndrome, but wanted to keep the healthy one. Because the carrier was against aborting the baby with Down syndrome, she had both babies. The intended parents ended up taking the baby without Down syndrome and leaving the surrogate to care for the other baby. Without the financial assistance of her state, the surrogate would not have been able to raise the child on her own. Cases like this raise legal questions, such as what if the gestational carrier did not want the baby or funds were not provided? Should the intended parents then be responsible for both babies and the financial burden that accompanies them?
Did you know that some states make it illegal to pay a woman for a child? Therefore, payments to a surrogate are phrased as medical assistance or food and shelter, such that stigma of baby selling is eliminated.
That some critics argue that because surrogacy is such an expensive procedure, the process favors the privileged classes while exploiting lower-class women with the promise of money. Because lower-class women need the money, they would be more willing than other women to act as surrogates. These women are seen as persons of use rather than persons worthy of respect.
Did you know that according to some surrogacy agencies, the average cost of having a baby is around $120,000?
Did you know that compensation for surrogate mothers, which is paid by the surrogacy agency, is typically about $30,000 per birth? Did you know that according to the Council for Responsible Genetics, there were approximately 5,000 surrogacy cases between the years of 2004 and 2008? On average, 9 children were born through surrogacy in each state every year. Because of all the various definitions of legality, responsibility, and morality in relation to surrogacy, the ethical decisions surrounding this topic are still up for debate and inconclusive.